Hey, what's going on guys? Mixuba here. And today's video we're going to be taking a look at a WITHERBLOOM mid-rangey control deck for standard best of 1. So before I get into the list, I just want to quickly apologize for not being as consistent with my uploads, and there's a couple of reasons for that. One, I just finished my first year of uni, so I'm kind of taking it easy. Two, it's the summer, right? So I'm seeing a lot more friends. Three, a lot of COVID restrictions just got lifted, so I can finally be out past 9 o'clock at night or 9:30 at night, because for a while where I live, you just weren't allowed to do that. So that's been a lot of fun. I usually recorded like past 9:30 because I literally couldn't leave my house. But the last thing is also the Strixhaven meta I find relatively stale. It's not my favorite set, and while I do love it, I've been playing a lot of draft, and I think it's a good set. I think it's not very powerful for the current standard environment. I think post-rotation will be very relevant, but right now, the power level of Strixhaven is just so much lower than it needs to be to properly fit into the meta. Like, we have a couple cards here and there that are good, but as a whole, the set is relatively weak. So anyways, this deck is pretty cool. Again, one of the main problems I have with the meta is that you have to build decks with Sultai Ultimatum in mind, especially in Best of 1, which is what a lot of you want to see. So we have to either pick between hyper aggression or hyper control, which is a interesting spot to be in. It makes mid-range very difficult to pilot, but we're trying to do so today. This deck is, again, much better against aggro, as you can probably tell from the shell, but it can win against Sultai. I've done it before, just not very consistently, but it is a best of 1 deck, and while you will face Sultai some percentage of the time, the rest of the time you should be facing aggro, where you will be very favored. Anyways, we'll get into the list right now. We have a Bloodchief's Thirst, just early cheap removal, can also take out Planeswalkers. Good card. We have some Cling to Dusts and a Polychronos. 3 escape cards on this deck. It has some synergy with Professor Onyx while you mill yourself. Really good against rogues, right? Because you have 3 escape cards to hit in 60 cards. And I like these cards against Sultai. This can provide a really good blocker against aggro. Cling can gain you life or draw you some more cards. It's just a solid escape card deck. We have 3 of them instead of like the standard 1 or 2. We have some Remorses. Now this is specifically here for Sultai to give us more of a fighting chance. Against aggro, you typically don't want to play this without on 2 unless like the opponent didn't have a 1-drop. You want to be playing cards that actually affect the board, which is why hand hate spells have sort of fallen out of favor, at least, you know, pre-sideboarding. But I think our deck can afford to run 2 Agonizing Remorse as it has such a good aggro matchup. Then we have some removal spells: Eliminate, Heartless Act, and WITHERBLOOM Command. If you want, you can drop the command for another Eliminate. I'm just trying it out now because they're in WITHERBLOOM colors, and I think it has some pretty good versatility. Being able to like take out a creature and gain 2 life is pretty solid. If you really need to, you can try to hit your land. Liliana puts lands in the graveyard. The Mill Clause also has synergy with Cling or Polychronos, and if ever there's a non-creature, non-land permanent with CMC 2 or less, you can blow it up. So very flexible card, not just a removal spell. To benefit us, or basically to pay us off for running so many removal spells, which we'll get into the list some more, we have even more of those. We have Shevel. Shevel is a 2-mana 1/3. Then at the beginning of our upkeep, we get to put bounty counters on creatures, and whenever we blow up a permanent with a bounty counter, we gain 3 life and draw a card. And yeah, by the way, I should briefly mention, if the opponent has a creature with a bounty counter on it, or sorry, a permanent with a bounty counter on it, then you cannot put another one. What else do we have? We got some Nightmares. Nightmares are really good, gets into the opponent's hand like the Remorse does, so another tool against Sultai. Primarily here against rogues, we really want to decimate rogues as well. Blows up a cheap creature, gets into the opponent's hand, exiles their yard, really good card. Mythos of Nethroi. I'm not a huge fan of this card, but we run the binding at 4, meaning we want to fetch a forest, and there's no just raw Golgari forest, so we run the Triome. This one has the Golgari plus the white, so it's pretty good. You can also cycle it. It has land types. It's basically here to fetch off the binding. It has some upside as well, so 4 Triomes to go with the binding, and it lets us splash white for Mythos. We're not exactly using the Triome for Mythos, we're more running Mythos as a product of having Triome. Rider, good removal spell, and a creature. Field Trip is our learn card. We're in best of 1. We either want to be taking advantage of the companion mechanic or the learn mechanic. I'm trying this instead of Cultivate. We get to search for a basic forest and put it onto our library tapped, then shuffle. The problem I have with this card is basic forest, not just forest, so it's just clearly worse than the binding, which just says forest card. But anyways, so we get to search for one of these, then we get to learn. We have a pretty standard learn board. Either hit a land, blow up a artifact or enchantment, If you need some blockers, you can go with this. Draw some cards, take out a thing. You can reanimate or take out a planeswalker, or go super wide. We have some events because we're not a dedicated control deck, but sometimes you just need to sweep the board, and you can basically make it so that your Shovel or Polukranos or Gargaroth will live through an event, so that's pretty cool. Binding's just such a good card. You can't blink in this deck, but that's okay. We have 8 Polukranos. Like I said, really good against aggro. Comes down and just blocks everything. If you reanimate it, 6 mana 12/12 is solid. The ability to fight creatures is really good. We have some Gargaroths. Gargaroth is our probably best creature next to Polukranos. You could slam it on 5. A lot of the decks won't expect it. Against Sultai, kind of like whatever, they can remove it. But against aggro, like mono red or mono white, it's a house. And then for top end, we have some pretty cool top end. We have Professor Onyx, the main reason that we can actually just play a Witherbloom control deck. You just slam it on 6, it provides you a ton of card advantage throughout the game, can blow a creature up. The Magecraft ability has overperformed for me time and time again. We have Garrick as another kind of win con, blow up a creature, draw a card, you can start making some wolves. Eventually you can emblem it and win the game, so pretty solid planeswalker. Harness Infinity, now this card's really cool. We don't have that much of a draw go theme, but you can like draw go with a bunch of mana up and then exchange your hand with your graveyard at instant speed, which is really cool. I don't want to go too overboard on the Harness Infinity, but all the milling effects we have, like the Witherbloom Command, the Liliana, can also help fuel this card, so you can get a couple lands back in your hand if you really need to. Really cool card. I'm just trying out one for the deck, and it can really help us in grindy late game scenarios. And the last card we have is Ugin. Sometimes you just need Ugin to come down and sweep the board. It can also be an extra win con for you. Solid card. We have a bit of ramp in the binding and the field trip, so you might be able to hit this on 6 if you get lucky. Mana base, we have 6 tap lands here between the Triomes and the Temples. I don't think we need the Snarls in this deck, mostly because we definitely do want to be running more than just basic forests for cards like Binding, and I don't think the untapped mana is that necessary. You can find spots in your curve with this deck to fit in some tap lands. The Scry is very nice, and the Triomes are pretty much necessary for the Binding. Passage, you know, Passage. A bit more swamps than forests because we're leaning towards black, but we still need some forests for the field trip type effects. Pathway, obviously, and 1 locked win because we have 6 swamps and 4 triomes, so that's 10 lands that help it enter untapped. Plus drawing cards is very good, one of my favorite castles. Anyways, guys, if you like the deck, it will be in the description down below as always, and be sure to drop a like on the video. Also, consider subscribing, it motivates me to make more content. So that's gonna be it for me, guys. Let's get into some games. Okay, normally I'd keep this, but against Yorion, we literally only have removal spells, so I'm gonna take a mull. Well, I guess it's okay. We're gonna drop off the event. And it's Sultai, the absolute worst matchup. It's been a while since I've actually played Magic, or not Magic, but constructed Magic. I've literally been drafting constantly for the past 3 days. I'm trying to farm up my collection. I want to get a bunch of the mystical archive rares, especially ones that are like proper good in historic, like in Memory Lapse, Lightning Helix, stuff like that. I'm just trying to get into the format. So if we could find like an Agonizing Remorse right here, we'd be very happy. Just an Ugin. I'm gonna grab another Passage and crack for another black, because I might need double black on 3 instead of just having to crack the Passage later, and instead of even having double green. I don't think we need it for anything. Alright, I guess I'm just gonna play this to the board. If it gets removed, whatever, it baits a removal spell that otherwise would take up my Gargaroth. What am I doing with my hand? Okay, alright, we fixed it. We have a nice 4/5/6 Nightmare. Okay. Well, at least that's something we can actually bind, but do we want to just use Field Trip? I don't think so. I think we want to get rid of this. I really don't want my Planeswalkers to be taken. They are some of the better tools we have in this situation. And if they bind my binding, whatever. Cultivate, okay. So opponent's running Cultivate, I'm running Field Trip. It's possible that Cultivate's better in this spot. Event, yeah, that's really not great. Grab Triome. I ramp. And I learn for what? What are we learning for? We're on 6 mana. I could grab a Confront the Past in case they want to take a Planeswalker. I think I just grab an Introduction. It's a clean answer to one problem permanent. We might have to use it, so I'm going to grab the Introduction. Right now, they're about to cast Ultimatum. They're on 6 mana if they have the... Okay, well, there's Plaque of Predation. Cool. Let me just make sure they have Ultimatum mana. Like blue, blue, black, black. Sorry. Blue, blue. Let's say they cast the island. Black, black, green, green, green. Yeah, they have Ultimatum mana. And they take my Ugin, which, I mean, that's fine. They're going to take either Ugin or Professor Onyx. Okay, and I'm guessing they buy Yorion here. Cool. That's fine. Let's cast Professor Onyx. Just get her on the board, draw a card. What do I want? I guess a Heartless Act. And we can play land out. That's fine. Opponent casts their own Professor Onyx. That's pretty funny.
Professor Onyx to you.
Mm-hmm. I know, man. And they actually mill the exact same thing we milled, so that's pretty jokes. Okay, and 2 mana up. Let's start by plussing. Binding seems good here.
I have impeccable study habits.
Doesn't seem too bad. And now we get to hold open Heartless Act for Yorion if they want to cast it. Seems okay. If I had one more land, the Gargaroth would seem pretty good. I could have also just introduced the Professor Onyx, but I think we can still hold this. I'm not in any rush. It's like not amazing removal, so you know. And that's kind of why I was a little worried about a Kiora. So we grab Triome. Alright, so I could Liliana minus here and get rid of this. We have 8 mana. If I plus and find a land, then we don't need to worry about this. I'm more worried about the gain control of target permanent clause than anything, so I think we have to introduce this at some point. So I think I want to start by doing that. And we start getting Magecraft triggers. Cool. And I think to be safe, we just make them sacrifice this. Instead of plussing and maybe not hitting untap land for Extinction Event. Eureka Moment, okay. I also like having Heartless Act up at instant speed because if they want to go Vorinclex plus something that gains a lot of counters, whether it be a Saga or a Planeswalker, we can blow up the Vorinclex before the permanent in question enters the battlefield. So I feel a lot better with a Heartless Act in my hand. Okay, Shovel, interesting. We start by plussing our Planeswalker. Binding, I guess we take a Binding, Clink can go to the yard, start drawing us cards at instant speed. And now we can play Gargaroth, because the opponent knows we have it. And Shovel. I could have also just not played Shovel and held open Cling to Dust. But we have a lot of removal. I'm a little bit worried about decking because, you know, we mill ourselves a lot. But the opponent still has to respect Professor Onyx. Heartless Act, that's fine. They're running out of cards. This Planeswalker is keeping us in the game. Okay, maybe another removal spell. I mean, we don't play that many creatures, so it's possible that the opponent's just trying to... Oh, that the opponent has been stockpiling removal spells for the good ones. 2 to the bottom. Okay, opponent's really just digging for the ultimatum. And I have not found an Agonizing Remorse yet, which is kind of awkward as well. Verdict, that's fine. 5 mana, kill my 2-drop. No problem there. Cultivate, some more ramp, also fine. No biggie. They have 4 mana, okay. There's land, and we plus again. I could take another Liliana, and I think that might actually be the plan. Just in case they manage to deal with this one, it's the main thing keeping us in the game.
There's gotta be something.
Alright, I pass. Could have also taken Murderous Rider. Definitely not the Thirst, though. Harness Infinity's looking jokes right now with all these cards in my yard. If I could find it, that is. And the opponent's running out of cards to play. They see my Cling. Maybe they have their own Cling, but that I literally run 2 Clings and a Polychronos, so we're good for escape cards. And this is what I'm saying, where Liliana basically fills our yard so much it combos with what we want to do. Oh, should have just fucking used the Cling to Dust there. That's a mistake. Oh, fuck. Anyways, that's my bad.
Really wanna
Okay. Should have used the Cling to Dust on the Liliana. I'm kind of an idiot there. I was clicking too fast. And there goes a War and Collect, so we know that card's good. Opponent finds their own binding. Okay. I'm going to cast this now. Let's not miss out on another Magecraft trigger. I guess we get rid of Eureka Moment. And I'd rather get rid of lands because we do have, like, Fabled Passage. Because we do have the Harness Infinity in the deck. And Eliminate is not very good in the matchup either. Gain and Drain. We draw another passage. I could go for another one. You know what? Let's do it. On... Palaka Predation? Sure. 1, 2, 3... 4, 5. Sure, seems fine. My rope is just getting farmed right now. Yeah, definitely should have used this on the last Liliana we found, but it is what it is. Let's play our new Liliana. Do I have any lands left in my deck? When it says nice, if I didn't have that the whole time. Yeah, I do still have some more lands, so... Let's thin the deck before we actually use Liliana's ability. The opponent only has 1 mana, so it's not a big deal. Plus here. Murderous Rider seems fine, right? Yeah, let's grab the Rider. And it means you don't have to use the binding, we can just take it out. Gain and Drain, very cool. And we can pass. Okay. I'm actually kind of annoyed at myself for not casting Cling in response, but it is what it is. Now the opponent can use their Yorion to blink this binding. It's not ideal, but you know, it is what it is. And we can start draining them a fair amount. Like, they're gonna go binding here. And okay, now I have to ask myself, is it worth the 2 points of damage or shooting the Yorion now, or is it better to just use Extinction Event? I think the 2 points of damage are worth it. That's 1 Murderous Rider attack. And if the opponent wants to counter my Heartless Act, that's a-okay with me. They already milled their Vorin Collects, which is the main thing I'd be holding Heartless Act up for.
Thank you for all the kindness.
Gargaroth, cool. Let's play out Gargaroth. Do I want to overextend with a Rider? It goes right into Extinction Event, but the opponent typically doesn't play many Extinction Events. Maybe like 1 or 2. And we can still hold open Cling to Dust. I don't want to use my binding on their binding just yet. That's fine. And they're out of forests. That's pretty funny. Opponent says nice. And they scoop it up. Okay. So even though we kind of fucked up the Balagate recovery play via with our Cling to Dust, It all worked out fine. Opponent actually didn't find any ultimatums, and we managed to grind them out with Professor Onyx, so pretty interesting game, I think. Okay, on the draw against no companion, so we were hoping aggro, and we keep. Okay, Snow Forest and Sentinel. Alright, looks like mono green. Let's play the passage and pass, nothing else to do on one. Grabbing black so we have more access to our black removal spells. Opponent plays Lovestruck Beast. Okay, what else you got? Land drop into a 2-drop maybe? Gruel, okay. Gruel with no red mana, interesting. So if you look how much on the board the opponent is on turn 2 and we just have one land, like, that's fairly unfortunate. But it's okay, we have sweepers. The biggest catch-up cards. I play my Shovel. 1/3 Death Touch. So the opponent needs land to get past it with the Brushfire Elemental. Okay. Never lucky. Opponent has Fabled Passage. Very good. Hitting me for 5. Casual 5. And then probably playing Lovestruck Beast. Innkeeper first, of course. My mistake. Oh my god. Okay, so what do we want to put a counter on? The opponent will... I mean, I'll probably put it on the Elemental. Right? We put it on the Elemental, we shoot it, then we can Heartless... We can Extinction Event for Odd, keeping our Shovel, getting rid of this, and a Lovestruck Beast. Alright, don't hate it. Eliminate 2, nice. Nice little wombo. Alright, let's go. Oh my god, can we not Heartless Act this because it has a counter? Oh my god, okay. Well, at least we have Eliminate, right? Opponent will cast Lovestruck Beast. Okay, are we gonna see land? Are we gonna see Primal Might? Frostbite, alright. I shoot in response. We gain 3 life, draw a card. Pog. Hit me for 2, no problem. And now we go... Oh, what do we want to do? I can go for the odd, and I think we have to. Let's not be greedy. Odd. Okay. Opponents left the 2 1/1s. Got some cards. We definitely have some cards. Lovestruck Beast will be able to attack, which is frustrating. But we have a handful of removal spells. We need to hit more lands. If we can hit our land drops and remove some stuff, then we will be able to Harness Infinity on 7 and switch everything up. Which is pretty cool. Elemental comes down. No land. Nice. Okay, another green seems pretty good. We're 1 land off Liliana now. So what, we want to like Bloodchief's Thirst the Elemental? Seems fine. Then we can pass. I don't really want to use removal spells on these 1/1s, although I might have to eventually. Kind of frustrating. I'm hoping I could just gain a lot of life back with Liliana. I'm just hoping for land, because if we hit land this turn, then we can slam Lily, and if they can't take it out, we're probably going to hit land next turn to be able to Harness Infinity. We'll see. Opponent has been missing land for a minute, though, after that very, very explosive start. Okay, tap land. And then probably seeing Lovestruck Beast after. Yep, makes sense. Let's be more mana efficient and blow it up here. Even though this can take out a Cleave or a Great Henge, I think it's worth just using our mana. Okay, tap land. And another untapped land. That's actually interesting. Do I bottom it and hope for better? Or do I just keep that and say, you know what, we can Harness Infinity and get a ton of value? I think we hope for better. Well, if I'm playing Liliana next turn anyways, probably. It's actually pretty close. I'm going to be greedy and bottom this land. And just hold open the Heartless Act. I really want Liliana online. Okay. The opponent can attack with 2. They have cleave mana up, so I can shoot whatever they cleave. Okay. That's actually pretty funny. Which one is it going to be? These 1/1s putting in work. Okay, they equip that one, so we just blow it up. Okay, no problem. We take 1 rider. Yeah, I'm gonna just play the professor. And I'm gonna minus. Honestly, I'm just gonna take out this token. Now it dies to stomp, but that's fine. They would need a haste creature to take out my planeswalker, and then my damage isn't going face. Or their damage. Okay. And they draw and pass. Alright. So, we actually can't cast Harness Infinity yet, which is jokes. I+. I take 1 damage for this. What's holding priority? Is it a Bone Crusher Giant that they should have just used main phase? If they scoop here, I'm just going to safely assume that that's what happened. Let's go. Okay, choose a card to add to my hand. Pathway. Okay.
Never thought I'd miss the library.
I guess we can go for a little bit more green. And I can use Harness Infinity at instant speed. I pass. I don't really want to play. You know what? I could play this side of the rider. Yeah. Maybe I just play it out to have a lifelinker, and then we hold open Heartless Act as well. And use Harness Infinity later, just to get like crazy max value. Although that might not be necessary. I kind of like it. And using Murderous Rider just keeps us at 8 life because we get the +2/-2 with the Magecraft ability. Okay. I+. Yeah, when Liliana comes down, this deck really starts popping off. Here we go, man. Gargaroth. Nice. Nice, nice, nice. I'm using every excuse I have not to cast Harness Infinity before I can get max value from it. Let's go. Gargaroth comes down. We have Heartless Act open. Okay. And we see an Innkeeper come down. That's fine. Do we see an Adventure Creature cast? We see the Bone Crusher Giant go face. I'm going to shoot this Innkeeper so the opponent can draw another card off of it. They can cast it, but now they don't get a card. Cool. Okay. And you know what we do now? Now we take you out.
You'll learn the power of death.
We attack. Gain even more life, because that's the main way we're losing this game. And then on their turn, we're going to cast Harness Infinity and put this in the yard. And draw 12 cards. Let me cast it. I should have just main phased it, honestly. Let me cast it. Let me cast my big spell. My over-the-top 7 mana, draw 12. Is the opponent still here? I mean, you have 2 cards in hand. I'm gonna go make some changes to the deck after this game. I'll talk about them in the outro. I'm a little bit just concerned about the Shovel plus Heartless Act thing, but I think Heartless Act is still a necessary card in the deck. Okay, opponent's definitely still here. They just touched my Darkboar pathway. Okay, they play land. And they play another cleave. In response, I harness Infinity. Let's go! We cast it. GG's. I'm sorry if that counts as BM. I've never actually cast a Harness Infinity before, and I'm just very excited to do so. Oh, the opponent's roping me? Come on, man. I wonder if they drew the cleave or drew the land. Well, this is slightly unfortunate. Honestly, if this keeps going, I'll just couch you in the outro. I'm fairly certain we just win from here. Oh, they're so salty. Why so salty, bro? Come on, man. It's not every day you play against Golgari, like, mid-rangey control pile. Come on, Wax. Come on, Wax. Don't do me like that. Wax actually doing me so dirty. When we really out here just rolling me to absolute zero. Look, man. You gotta select the cleave you want to keep. I understand it might be a difficult decision to make, but it is a necessary decision to make. You good, bro? The second this thing hits zero, we gone. Alright, well, we resolve Harness Infinity, which is pretty cool. GG's. Okay, you know what? We're just gonna kill them. Let's go. I was considering doing a funny Magecraft lethal where I just shoot my own creatures 3 times, but you know what? We're just gonna attack and clean the game up. Alright guys, and we are back. So honestly, I've had a really rough session, recording session that is. I faced a ton of Sultai. I think I played like 10 games and 8 of them were against Sultai. And honestly, just basically playing a mid-rangey game against Sultai is not very entertaining when I'm just drawing removal spell after removal spell after removal spell, and I'm not doing anything to affect their game plan. They just cast Ultimatum and kill me. So that's why I say this deck has a bad Sultai matchup, and it does. But I don't know what it was, especially this morning. I did not face any aggro. I had 2 aggro games. I had the Gruul one you guys saw where like I got really salty at the end. And I had 1 mono red game where I had to mult to 6 and didn't draw my 3rd land and got killed on turn 4. So, you know, that wasn't exactly the greatest game. So it's been tough. It's been tough today. I don't know. It's been weird because normally you face a lot more aggro than I did today. So keep that in mind if you're having a rough streak with the deck and just, let's say you want to fight aggro and you're facing a lot of it. By all means play this deck, but if you're facing a lot of Sultai, I cannot stress this enough, do not play this deck. Aside from that, Shovel, Numbo with Heartless Act. I honestly just didn't keep that in mind for the beginning of the video, but you really have to. Normally I don't get that many Shovel triggers off because against aggro it's pretty much a must kill, but we have a bunch of stuff to still pay us off for Shovel. We have the Bloodchief's Thirst, the Eliminate, Witherbloom Command, Bindings, Elspeth's Nightmare, Mythos, Murderous Rider. So you know what I mean? Like we have a lot of ways to kill things that aren't just the 3 Heartless Acts, and we do need to be able to deal with big creatures, especially at instant speed, so I think the Heartless Acts are still worth keeping in the deck. Anyways, guys, if you're facing a lot of aggro and want to try out the list for yourself, it will be in the description down below as always, and I will catch you in the next one. Peace out.